Spawning right here in the top right-hand corner of the map. Playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we have ByuN. His opponent, a Protoss player who's been making a lot of improvements to his play over the course of the last year or so. Currently the rank 25 in the world overall. We're looking at none other than Nightmare's main Nexus. Now don't get me wrong, ByuN certainly is the favorite going into this particular game, but there's no denying that Nightmare has been making a lot of solid progress over the course of the last couple of StarCraft 2 seasons. So, first probe goes across the map. He's going to be able to figure out that everything is pretty normal. But you know what, Probius? Yeah, this is a probe with a mission. He is ready to go to town against whatever he finds right here on the side of the Terran. ByuN, of course, very well known for his ridiculously good micro. They call him Micro Jackson for a reason. Generally speaking, he doesn't really lose a lot of games if he can micro his way out of scenarios, but sometimes he can fall behind because he gets a little bit too flashy, right? He'll be very keen to, for example, just fly in a bunch of medevacs and get a ton of damage done. Jimmy! Jimmy! Jimmy? Jimmy was slacking right there for just a moment. I mean, you don't spawn while you're on lunch break, man. Like, nobody arrives at work during the lunch break. That doesn't make any sense. Well, Probius over here actually decides to hide off to the left. Ooh, he's going in for more. Look at this guy. Bzzzt, bzzzt, bzzzt. Very nicely done. That's actually a mistake right there from ByuN. He lost track of the, maybe he was all tapped out or something. Like, honestly, that was a series of mistakes right there from the Terran player that really shouldn't be happening at this level of StarCraft 2. That being said, though, this probe is also certainly going to die. But you know what? Maybe he gets to reincarnate into, like, I don't know, an immortal or something. That'd be pretty cool. At least, you know, there's a chance he would live for a little bit longer than that. Although, I'm not sure, man. Somebody in the YouTube comment section recently mentioned that apparently Protoss units never really die because they always get warped back to Ire or something. I don't really know exactly about the StarCraft 2 lore. That probe certainly looked like it died right there, I'm not gonna lie. But maybe probes are like fully robotic anyways? Maybe they're remotely controlled vehicles. So we now also have an adept following all of this up. This is not bad, man. Yeah, he kills Jimmy easy peasy. Revenge for Probius at the very least. Gets another SCV. Okay. I think he should run. It's gonna be close. Yeah, no. He ends up losing the adept. Second adept also available right now. Okay. Nightmare feeling pretty feisty here. Two more Marines do arrive here eventually. SCV decides to hide right there inside of the command center. Trying to repair that Hellion. Nah, I think he's gonna lose the adept. Okay. Little over-eager right there from Nightmare for sure. But you know what? This is the early game, right? Of Terran versus Protoss, it's okay. I think it's alright. Losing, yeah, 2 SCVs is not quite what you're hoping for here as a Terran player. Now this is gonna be the good old 4-gate Blink. 4-gate Blink is one of the most popular builds even at the professional level. It's very good. It might be even more popular in Diamond League because every Protoss player in Diamond League thinks they're basically hero or maybe even max specs, right? They believe at the very least when they close their eyes at night that they will be able to micro the Prism as well as the Blink Stalkers as good as those two pro gamers can. In reality, more often than not, they're microing half the amount of Stalkers that, that those guys would be microing, and on top of that, they would also be doing so worse. Anyways, Nightmare, obviously a very good Protoss. He is going to try his very best to get as much damage done as possible, trying to intercept this medevac here as well. The other half of the Protoss players in Diamond League are just busy making forges first and proxy gateways and the other shenanigans, you know? I think there's about 2 types of Protoss players in Diamond League, yeah. The first half, they think they're an absolute top-tier pro gamer. The other half, cheesing literally every single game. And honestly, maybe that second category is closer to like 75% or so. Done a lot of StarCraft 2 coaching over the years, and let's just say a lot of players get stuck in Diamond League, specifically against Protoss, because Diamond Protoss players are some of the scariest players in the entire game. I'm not even joking. Some of them have ridiculously scary timing attacks, but they're kind of terrible at everything else in the game. Yeah, there's a lot of variety. Actually, Diamond League in general in StarCraft 2 is just so big. It's like 1200 MMR big or so. Compared to Platinum League, I think Platinum League in total, all 3 divisions, is like 300 MMR. I wouldn't mind maybe seeing a bit of a rebalancing right there from Blizzard at some point. But anyways, Nightmare, definitely not a Diamond League Protoss though, so all of this is completely irrelevant. I don't even know why, I ended up talking about it, as he does end up sniping the Raven that went across the map. That's a big win right there for Nightmare. Honestly, sniping some very important units right here from the Terran. How many games have I casted recently where that Raven comes in and then it drops an auto turret, then it flies away, and then it joins a little bit later, right? It accumulates a little bit of energy, and it just sort of slowly over the course of the game get like a dozen kills while shutting it down early. Very nicely done. In the meantime, he's also pushing right here on the left. How many siege tanks do we have? We've got 2 of them, but ByuN not quite in the right position. Almost loses the medevac there as well. That would have been a disaster. Siege tank at the very least finally getting something done. In the meantime, the Stalkers here are pushing forward, but I am liking this a lot right here for our Protoss player. I mean, he's doing a great job punishing the Terran for his mistakes, right? Without really, taking any major risks himself. Excellent work. A lot of this damage could have been prevented. Not exactly sure what ByuN is doing, but it's time for him to wake up. Margin for error at this level of StarCraft 2 is absolutely tiny. Excellent, that was beautiful. Very well done right there, my Nightmare. In the meantime, third Nexus has gone up, of course, on the other side of the map. He's going charged together with Sonic Storm. And that third Nexus, it's gonna finish up here momentarily. ByuN doesn't have a third command center or anything along those lines yet. He's thinking about starting it up right now. Honestly, if he positions it over there, he may just end up losing the command center itself if he's not super careful. Beautiful control right here from Nightmare. Honestly, he's only lost 1 Stalker, and that was to the 1 siege tank that suddenly sieged up outside of his vision range. Like, he couldn't see that particular tank. With the units that he had vision of, excellent work. I'm making all kinds of hand gestures right here, but I guess I don't have my camera on. Although I do have my lights on. Fun fact, I pretty much always cast games of StarCraft 2, even if it's super early in the morning, especially actually if it's super early in the morning, with the lights as bright in my face as possible, because I know that it wakes me up. Anyways, nice little medevac drop right here from ByuN, though. He manages to finally catch his opponent off guard. It will come at the cost of the prism, or, well, the Terran Prism. Hello? Blink? Blink, 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 blink. No blink? Really, ByuN? That was very ambitious. Yeah, no, that was a bit much. Observer in the meantime, and that's the reason why Nightmare didn't quite catch that medevac earlier. He was busy looking at that main army right here from the Terran. Okay, now he's gonna be able to get that Observer here eventually. Third command center finishes up. I would love to see a 4th Nexus right about right now. Nightmare has the money for it, but maybe he's thinking about going for a big attack. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Warping in a ton of additional Zealots, Nightmare is thinking about winning this game in the next couple of seconds. He does start up a Robo Bay on the back of this too, though. I think it would be manageable for him right now to maybe win the game if ByuN decided to fly the command center down to the low ground. But ByuN a little bit too good at this. He's been making some mistakes, but strategically, all of this does make a lot of sense. Nightmare, rather than taking this base over here, he goes for the one with the rich Vespine Geyser. And generally speaking, that also enables this one a little bit further to the right. That would be very close to the Terran side of the map, but if ByuN decides to expand over here and then further to the right, 2 bases with rich gases. Very, very tempting. Alright, Nightmare has Storm. Where are the Prism? Or okay, I was gonna say, where are the Templar? Okay, well, there they are. There's one more, I guess, that is left behind. Catches a couple SCVs here. Where are we going? Careful now. Okay. Yeah, without siege tanks in the right place, it's gonna be very hard to get much done. So far, Nightmare playing this like a champ. I really feel like Protoss players have made so much improvement over the last year or so. Like, their early game is so much better than it once used to be, rather than messing around with the units that they have at their disposal. It's a lot more focused, I guess, around Stalkers and Zealots, right? Kind of like how Zerg focuses on Lings and Roaches, and Terrans focus on Marines and Marauders. This really has become like the core of Protoss. And I know that makes a lot of sense, but for like the first decade of StarCraft 2, these units kind of sucked. It was very difficult for Protoss to lean into them in the earlier stages of the game. And it turns out the key has been micro. It's not like the units necessarily get buffed a ton. I guess some of their counters got nerfed a little bit though. Anyhow. Finally, the 3rd CC does land. 4th command center on the back of this. I've got a feeling though that Nightmare is already thinking about making another Nexus here momentarily, man. At least if this was MaxSpecs playing, I think he would already be thinking about making a 5th base at this point. That's really the only thing that I notice here. So at least as far as like the world rankings go, MaxPax is quite a bit ahead of Nightmare. And at least as far as the broad strokes go, I would say that Nightmare, yeah, expands a little bit slower than somebody like MaxPax. Obviously, I am not necessarily paying all, like, close attention here to all of the small, minute details, but MaxPax definitely very expansion hungry. To the point where sometimes I find it a little bit risky, though, so maybe Nightmare is also thinking the same thing. That Widow Mine, okay, good split, lovely work. The problem here is, yeah, this is a upper ramp into a sieged-up Terran position, not an easy decision to make, although I do kind of feel like there's an opportunity here for Nightmare. Yeah, he doesn't really want to take the chance, right? So it's very hard for him to... Okay, a couple nice feedbacks as well. It's very hard for him to deny a third base, but the fourth base is going to be very susceptible to aggression. Either that, or you can, for example, run a bunch of zealots into the natural at the same time, right? So, yeah, this little top right-hand corner of the map, very difficult to push into here for Nightmare, but once ByuN's decides to expand even more from here, I do think it's going to be a lot more manageable. Alrighty, Skytoss transition here on the horizon. I would love to see the air weapons already start up in the Cybernetics Core. There's the 5th base coming as well. 4th CC, apparently at least scheduled. Yeah, to go somewhere over here eventually. Double upgrades here as well for Nightmare. Okay. Well, I say that. 4th CC actually has flown on over to the right side of the map. This is actually such a cheeky play right here from ByuN. I just want to emphasize this, because this is... Like, I look at the mini-map, right? From Nightmare's point of view, this is what he sees. He hasn't actually seen this base over here on the right side, although maybe right now he assumes it's there. But that sensor tower usually gets planted at the 4th base. It's planted on the high ground here instead, which is really quite clever. And it's ultimately allowing ByuN now to get the planetary fortress going here. Okay, well, this will get destroyed eventually. But any timing window that Nightmare really had to potentially close out this game, at least at this stage of it, I think it's mostly closed. At this point, it's going to be very difficult for the Protoss to push into, yeah, that very entrenched Terran position. Loads of static defense, nice positioning right here from ByuN, who basically after this early game has said, yo, I am not really going to bother with any of this. Nope. I'm not even loading up my units inside of Medivacs. And you know, when ByuN is not loading units into Medivacs, it's a very dire game. He's got 6 of the Medivacs, okay? The man is hungry to put in at least a couple units. Like, one drop wouldn't hurt, right? And when ByuN is not sending out any Medivac drops, you know that things have not really been going his way. In the meantime, +1 air weapons. Got ourselves a fleet beacon coming up as well. So that is going to allow him to transition towards carriers, Tempest, whatever he needs. I was thinking Tempest earlier because usually this is going to be a game where Terran transitions towards Liberators first. But I guess since Protoss, yeah, has got a nice advantage in this game, they're actually the ones who can lead that air transition. And if that's the case, you may as well go carriers. In the meantime, we do have the Fusion Core coming, so I do imagine we're going to be going into the Liberator ranged upgrade here momentarily. Today I learned that apparently a Colossus barely takes damage from a Widow Mine. At least the shields will be able to regen. Just 10 damage done to the base HP right there. Okay, that's one way to get rid of that mine over there, dealing some friendly fire to your own units. Yeah, so the only thing I don't like, I loved the first 8 minutes or so of this game for Nightmare, and then I kind of feel like we've put our foot off the gas, but we also didn't really build up our economy. So now we're sitting at, yeah, 5 Nexus, sure, but only 64 probes. He's got a good bank, sure, don't get me wrong. This is still a good situation for him, but I felt inspired from the first 8 minutes, and then the last 6 or so have not been quite as impressive. In the meantime, on the side of the Terran, we've got ourselves 4 additional command centers coming up. Zealot run by, preparing itself, but I mean, that's a planetary fortress over here, so yeah, especially with 3 siege tanks behind it, what in the world are we gonna do? Okay. Well, at least we can get rid of some of this. Zealots over here splitting themselves off to go after the sensor tower, which I actually do kind of like as a main target. Okay. Planetary Fortress is going to help as well, and at least Terran right now is going to be in the dark for a moment, but we are getting to the point where we have, yeah, about 5 or so additional orbital commands, and life's going to get much easier to keep track of this Protoss bull. I think Nightmare is trying to trade out some units to open up supply right here to make more carriers and whatnot, because, yeah, he's kind of... I kind of feel like he had a good opportunity to win the game before this point, but I guess he didn't want to take the chance. And well, now he's forced to play ByuN in a macro game, and it seems like ByuN... I mean, really, ByuN has got like 2 modes, right? Mode number 1, full micro Jackson, units loaded into medevacs, aggression left, right, and center, 4 drops at the same time, preferably, right? That's option 1. Option B, or option 2, I guess? Full turtle Terran. Like, look at this. He's not really seen the other side of the map in ages. He marched to the watchtower for a little bit, and then he went all the way back home. It's almost like somebody else took over his computer. He doesn't really play like this most of the time, but sometimes he gets in a mood, and this is all he does. So maybe it's because of that early game, though. He's looking at this game, he's like, yo, I fell behind pretty badly. I guess it's time for me to just, do the good old no rush 20 minutes strategy right now to my opponent. I will just sit here and make a massive army. Still not in love with this, though, here for ByuN. Yeah, he's maxed out right now, sure. That's pretty good. Yeah, he's got a good amount of orbital comments and all that, but he's going Liberators right now. He's got 8 Vikings, and he's going up against a very large Skytools army. Like, these are properly upgraded Skytools units, and this can still very much so be a fight where Nightmare just attack moves, he gets like 1 good storm, and then suddenly that's the end of the game. I kind of feel like ByuN is not yet prepared to, well, deal with a ton of those flying Protoss units, because Liberators, while they technically hit air units, they don't really, right? They're kind of like sentries. Like sentries technically attack units, but not really. Okay. One observer getting a little bit overly ambitious. I think you can go, Nightmare. Nightmare is a very cautious man all of a sudden. As aggressive as he was in the first half of this game, as passive as he's suddenly become. Are we gonna push into this choke point of all choke points? Okay, well, I guess there's not that much Terran, because ByuN is also like, wait a second, this is not really a good position for you to fight, is it? But I guess it was not too bad, because ByuN only left a few tanks behind. Alright, that's quite a few command centers down the drain, though. At this point, ByuN has figured out, okay, this is a mass Skytools transition here from our Protoss player, so I'll just be going into a ton of Terran units myself that fly as well. +3 air weapons is finishing up really quite, nice and early here. There's another starport as well, so he can really start piling on a ton of pressure. Nightmare right now taking out his anger on a bunch of rocks in the middle of the map for no apparent reason at all, because he's the one with the flying army, and I don't think he necessarily benefit from giving your opponent additional mobility, but hey, we'll let it slide. Missile turret. Set up in the middle of the map. Dark Templar coming up as well. Ooh, okay, Prism there ends up falling before we get any storms done, and that is going to make it much easier right here for ByuN to move forward. Still, though, yeah, the interceptors are gunning as many of these Terran units down. When they're all fully deployed, it's very difficult for Terran to push in here. I think Marines are not a bad answer. Losing that Prism, though, and getting rid of those High Templar right there was really nice for ByuN, right? So the fact that there's no Prism anymore at this point is really good, because, well, that means he doesn't have to worry about storms all too much, and ultimately that now allows him to get this command center going over here in the middle of the map, over at the Golden Minerals. 10 Dark Templar being warped in. Where are they? Here they are. Okay. These are men with capes. Men with a mission. That's a lot of static defense over here already, though, so at least ByuN is going to have a ton of detection available, but then again, yeah, the damage per second of DTs is kind of nutty. You can detect them all you want. You can repair the command center, sure. At the same time, nice 1-2 punch right here. Nightmare also hits the CC on the right, and I CC 2 less CCs. Nicely done right here by Nightmare. Becoming a bit of a command center slayer, huh? Yeah, we've already killed quite a few of them. Luckily for ByuN, he's been making quite a few as well, so he's going to be able to replace the lost orbital command, or the lost planetary fortress rather, with another planetary fortress. So ultimately, we do still have a round of Marines available, but we're really making a transition towards a ton of air units here. Is it still not worth going for a Mama ship, by the way, Nightmare? I've got a feeling a mothership here would be amazing. Offensive recall, time warps, all of it is very, very potent for just... Okay, that's an interesting storm. For just 300 minerals, 300 gas. That's a better storm, I like that one. Zoning away those units. We have one more coming. That's a juicy one. Great work. Go, go. Don't we go? I think we go, no? Yeah. Nightmare is walking around on his tippy toes here. This is a man who's lost against Terrans one too many times. He's like, nah, I don't want to do it, Lowko. Don't make me do it. Okay, fine, don't do it then. But ByuN is firing up his orbital commands right now, and he's getting a ton of aesthetic defense going. He is gonna have tons of missile turrets. They kind of function like, I guess, spore crawlers in Zerg versus Protoss. That's something that Zerg players have been specializing in for many a year at this point. Ooh, God. We almost have enough here. Enough Vikings to one-shot a carrier. That's a lot. Anyways, Zergs have been going for like 50 to even sometimes 100 spore crawlers against Skytals for a long time. And I guess now ByuN is taking a page out of the Zerg book. He's all the way up to 25 missile turrets already. Problem, I guess, for our Terran, though, is that he can't actually... Oh, nicely done, dude. He can't actually reposition the missile turrets, right? I guess spore crawlers are more static than missile turrets. As far as the static defense goes, anyways. Yeah, look at them. More and more coming up. So I guess Nightmare's idea is to create a full split map. And then ultimately deny one of the bases of the Terran. So I guess not a full split map. Like a full split map for him, but not for his opponent. So he's basically taken every single base on his side of the map right now. If he can mine these out fully and then deny at least one of the bases of ByuN, he should end up with a full base of extra resources. And he's well set up for that right now. It's just that, yeah, ByuN's very good at the game. And I find it difficult to imagine playing him in a macro match, you know what I mean? He is getting very much so a bit carried away right now with the command center situation, though, because he's lost like 5 of them, and we still have like, what, 13, 14 right now coming up? That's a lot. 14 in total available on the map. And then, yeah, we've lost a bunch already as well, so that's very costly. Like, every single one of those structures is not free. I guess the energy on it eventually is free, but you do have to pay the upfront cost. 4 additional starports. Whew, okay. That's a lot. I did see some Tempest on the production tab too. Tempest without orbital, or sorry, without, what are they called? Oracles, rather? Orbitals. I mean, also a good choice, I guess, because they would also allow the Protoss to shoot at their maximum range, but last time I checked, Protoss does not have access to orbital commands. They would love it, but they don't. Okay, this is nice. Yeah, good storm over here. Overextension right there by ByuN. Couple uncharacteristic errors throughout this game so far. Okay. Yeah, this entire game just feels a bit uncomfortable to me, mostly because I have seen Terran players get absolutely... Or sorry, Protoss players get absolutely destroyed in the late game against Terran. So when you're significantly ahead, especially against somebody of the caliber of ByuN, I kind of feel like you have to press the issue, but... Nightmare apparently comfortable playing the late game, so... If he's confident, we gotta believe in his abilities. But if this was me playing against ByuN, I think I would have tried to push for the win a little while ago. And probably lost, so yeah, fair enough. The dance of the Skytals units and the Sky Terran units has begun. We still have some army on the ground as well, but it's, yeah, both storms as well as disruptors. It's very difficult for Terran to actually push in. Oracles are now available, so they have an ability called Revelation. There we go. That allows those Tempest to see those Liberators, even without having active vision of them. So the main thing of the main reason to bring out the Tempest is because they have more range than I can actually see. So this is nice. Getting quite a few kills here. Lovely work by Nightmare. Very good stuff. I should definitely be featuring Nightmare more on the channel. There's the Protoss player Firefly as well, who I have featured before, but it's been a while. Who also has been making some big strides lately. It's a Chinese Protoss player. Really very much so impressing me. He does, by the way, decide to take this base here in the top left-hand corner eventually, so stealing one of the bases here of the Terran would be massive. That's even better than denying it. Yeah, so ultimately, right, look at the amount of money available right now for Nightmare, and look at ByuN. ByuN doesn't have that much money. Other than his bank account. I'm sure that ByuN's bank account is bigger than Nightmare. Well, ByuN has got like, you know, he's got like probably like 800 grand more in tournament earnings or something like that, you know? Maybe Nightmare is from a wealthy family. I don't know. Maybe ByuN is. I have no clue. But as far as this particular games bank goes, it's very clear that Protoss is very rich. And that's, I guess, the reason why Nightmare is more than happy to play this back and forth. Yeah, look at that. Cost-efficient trade so far here throughout this game by our Protoss player. Plus, on top of that, he's stealing one of the bases of the Terran. What more can you really ask for? If this game goes on like this for another 10 minutes, ByuN is super dead. There's really no way that he can play it out. Couple Dark Templar here, going to town. I guess I say there's no way. There is, of course, a way if he, like, completely butchers his control. And he can go, like, full bulldozer Terran straight towards the production, I guess, of the Protoss. That would make it pretty manageable. At least this planetary fortress over here lives. We're still only on 3 Stargates. I think when you have this much money, you should probably have at least, like, 5. Yeah, prioritize the gas over here, just steal whatever you need. I wouldn't mind seeing a lot of static defense set up here in the middle of the map either, because, let's be real, you don't need to have 10,000 minerals. Well, he agrees apparently, as he decides to warp in 10 Stalkers. Interesting choice here to go for Stalkers. I would have assumed maybe more Disruptors instead, or something along those lines. Maybe a Mama ship. Okay, I'll shut up about the Mama ship, but seriously though. So what can ByuN do to make his army better? Well, I've said this many times before, but a Raven or 2 would be amazing. Imagine an anti-armor missile right here on these Protoss units. Terran players have never been a fan of making Ravens for some reason. I understand this is a complex Terran army to control as it is, but like, when you think about it, what makes this Terran army better? You know, there's nothing really you can do as a Protoss other than feedbacking it, right? But it's, you don't have to worry about like a neural parasite suddenly turning that anti-armor missile, well, against you. Probes are even sacrificing themselves. This is always a shitty moment, I guess, for the Terran, right? Maybe they were on their way, actually, towards the top left, but Nightmare quickly mining out that gas. And this dance in the middle of the map, I mean, it's not going poorly for ByuN. It's just that it's also achieving very little. I guess he's creating, like, a chokehold on at least some of these minerals, sure. So one thing to note, by the way, about these rich Vespian geysers is that they contain 2250 gas in total. So that is the conventional amount. We do have another big Dark Templar run by over here on the right side of the map. That's a dead one. Yep. Since the rich Vespian geyser, it mines 8 gas a trip rather than the conventional 4. This one will mine out very quickly. And once the gas is gone, there's no way to bring it back. Now, Terran doesn't need quite as much gas, I guess, as Protoss, but it is something I think that's worth noting. ByuN's still adding on more command centers. I don't know why we're still making more, ByuN. Do we really need more? Push over here in the bottom right-hand corner is going quite well, though. Quite well for ByuN, that is. Yeah, we're getting to the point where Nightmare has right now mined basically 50% of the map. And once they're gone, there's no way to get them back. Any kill at this point is gonna be, yeah, a positive one right here for Mr. Nightmare. Battlecruiser transition. Ooh, okay. Suddenly, 4 Battlecruisers show up on the production tab. I don't know if they necessarily make the unit composition better for ByuN, but you know what? It's an option. Essentially everything on the production tab right now costs at least 400 minerals. Other than the Yamato gun, I guess. The weapon refit. Does Nightmare care about battlecruisers? That's my big question here. So, by the way, ByuN was working on establishing this position, like, for the last 5 minutes, right? That's why the skirmish happened over here. He finally got it, and now Nightmare blinks in and kills all of the static defense here. Excellent work by our Protoss. Yeah, so cost efficiency-wise, I mean, it's been going, maybe slightly worse than it was just a little while ago, but Considering he's stolen one of the bases here off the Terran, and on top of that he denied one of the bases over on the right side. This Southern Battlecruiser transition, which is actually the Dark Templar trying to deny it. This may very well end up costing ByuN quite a bit. I mean, it's in a way like his last-ditch effort, which is funny to say because he's fully maxed out and he's got maxed upgrades and everything, but these Battlecruisers better get something done, because otherwise I believe our Terran is in a world of trouble. Then again though, who better to play Mass Battlecruiser than Mr. ByuN? Have they been spotted at this point? I think so. I think, yeah, Nightmare must have had a glimpse of them at the very least. I think that's maybe the reason why these Tempests were once again started. Okay. Uncloaked Dark Templar here. Always looks funny to me. It's like seeing a Dark Templar naked. Quickly recloaking them though. Very smart decision. Liberator over here is at least gathering some of the kills right here on these minerals, but the gas is really the main thing to worry about here. That's the one thing you want to deny here from the Protoss. Still though. There's enough money on the map here for ByuN to max out, right? Like he can definitely create a solid enough bank here. Even just the minerals is not a bad idea. Okay, the Battlecruisers have finally shown up. We've got ourselves some repeated storms. Bit overly ambitious right there by the Templar, but you know what? They've still done a lot of damage to the BCs. Now it'd be nice, a mama ship, so we could recall over there, kill the BCs, and then recall back. I'm just saying, Nightmare. Sorry, I told you guys I was going to shut up about the, but I didn't. Okay, tactical jump on over towards the Dark Templar, who accidentally intercept an SCV transfer. These are pricey, though. Yeah. Nightmare is kind of treating his Dark Templar like they're zealots. The problem is that they're very expensive zealots. 42 of them have gone down in this game. That's the answer to the life, the universe, and everything. And Nightmare's still a rich boy, don't get me wrong, but I wonder if he's getting carried away just a little bit, because a few more exchanges like that and it's going to really look kind of dire in his gas bank. ByuN decides to add on mass missile turret to, I guess, support his Battlecruiser switch. The missile turrets will help out against the carriers, but here they go again. I love watching Battlecruisers go to town. Come on, at least finish the base. He doesn't have tactical jump available at the moment, so he's a little afraid that Protoss is going to jump on top of this ball. Keep in mind that Battlecruisers, besides being very expensive, are also very supply heavy. So, yeah, this is basically the entirety of the Protoss, or of the Terran army over here. If Protoss suddenly jumps this and the BCs are not present, he can be in a lot of trouble. Okay, well, tactical jump is once more available right now, so at the very least the units can come back in for more if they want to. Good blink forward over here, getting a couple of the Vikings. Not bad at all. ByuN has managed to secure this base over here. Protoss mostly trying to get gas. Terran mostly trying to get minerals at this stage in the game. Okay, big storms. Very nice storms, actually. Does lose a few of the Templar in the process. Okay. Both players fully upgraded. No potential for them to really add any more upgrades into the mix, so no sloppy mistakes there. We see that all the time, even at this level of StarCraft 2, where one guy is at like +2 flyer armor, for example, which is not quite ideal. I would also not mind seeing static defense in the middle of the map, though. Remember that game of Hearthstone versus Serral, where Hearthstone on this exact same map set up a proxy nexus over here and then build a lot of static defense around it? I thought that was actually super cool and also very clever, because that would make it difficult for ByuN to push in here. Instead, I guess Nightmare wants to be prepared to remax on lots more units, but then he still is only on 3 of those Stargates. I feel like either more infrastructure to fall back with your Skytools units, or just more unit-producing structures would be really nice. Because if there is suddenly a mistake here from Nightmare, I guess that's the plan, right? Just don't make the mistake. But anyways, if there would be a mistake, there is not a lot of redundancy, I guess, built into this particular Protoss strategy. How many BCs are we on? We're currently on 9 Battlecruisers with 3 more about to join. So even though Nightmare has been creating a lot of issues right here for the Terran player, He's at the same time... Yeah, he needs to be careful here that he doesn't at the same time get overwhelmed by the battlecruisers. If suddenly like 13 battlecruisers teleport on top of your entire army, you have to be prepared for that. So Nightmare smartly backing off here, giving his opponent some leeway. Command center here forced to lift off, and Nightmare is going to try and take those minerals. ByuN is broke. Can barely afford a missile turret right now. Decides to smash his piggy bank, and at 36 minutes into the game, he can afford 2 Marines. This base is almost mined out though, which is really nice. I think we have pretty much enough here to one-shot a command center. Not quite, but almost. It's a lot of Tempest. Base over here, indeed remade, and this is something that ByuN will see as well. And here come the battlecruisers. The battlecruisers decide to tactically jump on top of all of these units. Yamato cannons are being rapid fire on whatever Protoss unit he can hit. Massive EMPs on the bridge as well, but is there enough? Good fight right there though for Mr. ByuN, getting a lot of value out of the Terran units that he's got. Now suddenly 17 Stalkers get warped in. So Nightmare is doing a full ground transition here. So he doesn't have a lot of... Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of Stargates, but instead he's making tons and tons of gateway units. I mean, this command center over here is gone. He needs income. ByuN at this point is broke. He's getting 0 minerals and 0 gas a minute. So this army is all that ByuN is really going to get. Yep, he decides to give up on the right side of the map altogether. He saw an opportunity, he jumped it, he managed to snipe a lot of those Protoss units, but now he's gotta wait. How many battlecruisers ended up going down? 5 only. So there's 7 still remaining. They're gonna be able to, well, get that recall going, and they're gonna be able to get their Yamato gun out as well in about 30 seconds or so from now. So there's definitely another shot right there for ByuN to make a very similar move once again. Nightmare decides to split up his units, which makes me very nervous. I guess it doesn't matter too much, because what exactly is going to kill those Stalkers, but it is definitely something that... Yeah, you need to make sure your units are back together, right? By the time that the actual fight happens. Excellently played, though, here by Nightmare. Like, I didn't love that fight on the bridge, but... The thing is, this is also a 40-minute game, right? Yeah, this is... I don't love this, but he's got some money to play with, so it's okay. This is now nearly a 40-minute long game, so it's very easy to accidentally mess this up. Maybe just, you know, not be as focused for a moment. One big advantage of making a million orbital commands, though, is that you can indeed, mine out a base super rapidly. So Nightmare is ready to push on over in this direction once again. That's 13 mules mining all at the same time, and for a Terran player who previously was getting 0 minerals a minute, he's now all the way up to 3k. Here's another one, though. Couple of pre-storms going down on top of all of those battlecruisers. Yamato guns once again going off, but he's in range of this shield battery, and that shield battery is super nice. Nightmare just healing up these units to the best of his abilities. You know what? I was maybe critical of Nightmare's playstyle here, mostly just because I've seen this go horribly wrong for a lot of Protoss players in the past, right? It's not that strategically what Nightmare was doing here was wrong, it's just that he gave ByuN a way to get back into the swing of things. And ByuN managed to get back into the swing of things too. I think Nightmare is still playing this out really nicely though. Right now he's leading this game by about 50 supply and a massive bank as well. Big storm goes down once again too. Another follow-up storm to try and prevent these Terran units from crossing the bridge. That being said, this is not over yet. Yeah, 3,000 minerals a minute. It buys you a ton of Marines. Oh, how many storms do we still have available? Well, we have 8 Templar. I was gonna say, as long as Nightmare has those units available, I think it'll be okay. In the meantime, he ended up sneaking out another Nexus right over there on the right side of the map. ByuN, as resilient as always. He just can't fight this. Yeah, the problem is Nightmare also can't really cross the bridge very easily, because there's still 7 ghosts available, and, well, 7 ghosts, pretty pricey. Very good when it comes to EMPing those clumped up high Templars, so that's why Nightmare is being a bit cautious here. There's still a tactical nuke, by the way. Battlecruisers have found their way on over to the right side of the map, but there is still a tactical nuke available for ByuN. He's thinking about going after this command center. Do we have EMPs? If he can EMP all of the high Templar, there's still a chance here for ByuN. But this move right here from our Protoss, yeah, is ultimately forcing those Terran units into a position where they really don't want to be, and that's going to be the end for that command center. ByuN's decided, okay, I guess this is what happens. I'm going to be heading on over towards the right side of the map, and I'll take care of that Nexus. Now, I would love to see Nightmare. Exactly. Make a couple Colossi. I think that's an excellent idea. And then also, make another Nexus. Beautiful. Yeah. Honestly, very well done right here by Nightmare. I am hard-pressed to see any mistakes in this gameplay of his, other than maybe the fact that he is, well, the couple of small things, right, that I've mentioned. I kind of feel like he may have been able to push for the win some time ago, and that he maybe should have added on some more unit-producing structures and some more static defense in the middle of the map, but all of that is a stylistic choice. Here is what ByuN has been building up for, though. Is there enough right here for the Terran player? I don't think so. Those Storms absolutely massacre that Terran bio army, and it's a Nightmare with a beautiful game of StarCraft 2. From start to finish, honestly, it's Nightmare who obtains the victory. Hey, if you enjoyed watching this video, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. I upload new videos pretty much every single day, so if you would like to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Today, I also want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. I know there's some of you that have literally been supporting my channel for years, and some of you that have been supporting me for maybe a couple weeks over there as well. I much appreciate it. Thank you very much for making this possible and, yeah, allowing me to do what I do for a living. If you're interested in some of the perks that I offer over at Patreon, check the link down below in the description of this video, or you can head on over to patreon.com/LowkoTV. Anyways, for now, have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again tomorrow for another video.